one or two ways. I'm not sure which one you mean, really, Andy. Thank you very much indeed. We'll have 5 guests for you at the top table, and we welcome your questions, of course. If you've got any questions that you'd like us to ask, then you have pieces of paper on your table in front of you. So put them in your little bucket and we'll try and collect them, as many as possible. It's also being streamed live on the Tom Broadbent Lounge. So if you're listening in on the stream, you can send in questions on that as well. So then, it's time to introduce our guests, I think. I think they're all out there ready to go. So let's introduce them. I think our manager is out there, Mr. Mike Flynn. Well, I think he's there. In a moment, keep the applause going. Also tonight we'll have Jamie Russell, who is Mike Flynn, everybody. Rob Angus, who's Chief Executive Officer of Swindon Town Football Club, of course. Mandy Coe, who's Head of Women's Football. Quite a good day for women's football, I think you'll agree. Anthony Hall, who is Head of Operations and Stadium Development. So thank you all very much indeed for joining us this evening. We'll let them all settle down. So as I said, any questions you've got, please feel free to send them in either here tonight or on the Tom Broadbent Lounge, which is being live streamed over on the far wall by there, the Legends Lounge. First and foremost, Mr. Rob Angus, who is Chief Executive of Swindon Town Football Club, has a statement for you regarding shares you may or may not have heard about today. So, Rob Angus, over to you.
Thanks, Vic, and thanks everybody for attending today. Look, we were made aware this morning via Companies House that there was a confirmation statement update on the ultimate ownership structure of Swindon Town Football of Access Football Investments. It's something that we became aware of at the same time that you did. We've spoken to Clem about it. He believes that that statement's been filed in error. He's confirmed to us that he's 100% owner of the football club, and that a corrective confirmation statement update will be put onto that as soon as can be done, really. So it's in the matter of Clem's lawyers. He's dealing with it. We can't take any more questions in respect of it, but he's confirmed to us that he's 100% owner of the football club, and that statement has been filed in error, and he will correct that over the coming days. So that's what we'll say, and we can't answer any more questions on that at the moment.
Okay, you can't answer any questions, but should people in this room and listening be concerned or not?
I don't think people in this room should be concerned. As I said, we spoke to Clem. He's confirmed he's 100% owner. He's confirmed that statement has been made in error, and he's got his legal team working on it.
Okay, right. That's the statement from Rob Angus then regarding shares. I'm going to go along to the end of the table, gentlemen, just if you wouldn't mind as I do this, because an important day for women's football. Mandy Coe is here, Head of Swindon Women's Football. A sponsorship deal's been announced today, and the Lionesses got to the World Cup final. Did you notice that? Oh, a bit more than that, come on. Big day for you. Tell us about it.
Yes, it's a really big day. I got into this process about last October. I liked women's football only from 2019, where I came to watch the match here between Spain and England. And it's been a real pleasure of mine to be involved in the women's team since last October. And yeah, the Lionesses is a big thing, but the bigger thing is we're playing over at Foundation Park on Sunday afternoon, so that's an even bigger do if you can come over there and watch us. But yes, today it's been finally announced. It's been a well-kept secret, I'm glad to say, but when I first got involved in the club with James Watts, we were looking, and Rob, we were looking at what we could do to fund the club going forward. And I have to say we had some really wonderful sponsors that came forward immediately. One was Imagine Cruising. They were really interested in helping with the women's launch. But more importantly, they were wanting to help us with the sustainability of the club going forward, which actually is one of the most important things. So you're quite right. Today they've announced a 3-year deal with us, which means that they'll be helping us along our journey, hopefully to get to promotion. That is the goal. As you're probably all aware, or you might not be, but we actually have got a more professional manager that is now running the team for us in Mike Cook. He's picked his team, and we really are going for promotion this year. So it's all really exciting. We've also got some other sponsors that have come along and joined the party, so to speak. We've got a new business group that are sponsoring us, and at the moment I know James is talking to lots of the existing and new sponsors that are all wanting to sponsor the women. So it's all really good, positive news.
Excellent, Mandy. Thank you very much indeed. Round of applause. A for the Lionesses and Mandy Coe. Now, the gentleman on the left-hand side of Mandy, you might well notice, he's your manager, Mike Flynn. Now, I've got to say, as you left the field last night, you went like this. We noticed that. Last few minutes, but a great win. Fabulous. The team kept going. How did you think about it?
Yeah, I've done that because we left it so late. We wasted a lot of chances. And if we didn't win, it would have been a little bit of a travesty because we did everything we could after the first 30, 35 minutes where we started a little bit slower. Kind of played into Forest Green's hands where we didn't move the ball quick enough. Didn't expose where we could get at them 1v1 out wide. We kind of moved it too slowly through the middle. Anyway, we dug in. We put in over 30. Well, I think we put in 37 crosses last night, which was pleasing. We created numerous chances, but the big thing for me was getting the first win, or my first win, as manager of this football club out of the way, because the monkey's off the back, so to speak. And on a different day, a little bit of luck, we would have won all 3 games so far. In a way, it probably is going to keep the expectation levels down, because if we had won all 3, it'd all be years they were getting promoted and it's all going to be an easy ride. I've just seen Neil Harris's comments where he's come out and said they're not going to win every game. There's going to be lots of ups and downs, but that's the importance that you fans play in all this, because through thick and thin, we got to stick together and we will give our all and do our best. And excuse my dress sense tonight, I haven't stopped working and didn't have time to get changed, so I apologise for me looking like a scruff.
We should say that you haven't been home for a week. I hope you don't mind me sharing that. And you are going home after this because it's a birthday in the family. So we appreciate his time. Come on. Four points from 2 games. Kind of where you want to be. I mean, I know you want to be, but 4 points out of 2 games. Okay start.
Yeah, it is. It's a steady start. It's look, we should have won Saturday. Everybody's saying we were good first half. When you look at it, 80% of the game we were good. There was 2 lapses in concentration. We missed chances at key times to kill the game off. I wasn't happy with the goals that we conceded. But yeah, it's a solid start, and we just got to make sure we pick up those 2 points somewhere along the line throughout the season where we probably didn't deserve to win, but we've grinded it out and seen it out. And like I said, I've had nearly 350 games now at this level, and I know you don't always get what you deserve. And as long as we just keep believing and playing the way that we want to play and working the way we want to work, we're going to be all right.
Well, it made that long climb up that hill last night worthwhile. Thank you very much indeed for that, I can assure you. Let's go along to Jamie Russell then. I've spoken to you before about this, but you are now head of football. Is that good or bad? Congratulations or commiserations? How is it at the minute?
Commiserations? No, it's either, yeah, congratulations. I think it gives us the opportunity now to align everything within the club, which is what we've always wanted. I think the biggest thing for us is we have that gap between 18s and first team. We're fully aware of that, and we're looking at obviously bringing in revenue streams that can help fund potential B teams or carry in a smaller group that can work with the first team manager, and then also the elite players in the 18s, so it creates a smaller training group. But we're not there yet, so we have to be realistic of where we are and make sure that everything's in place below that. So when we do make that next jump, that everything's down, it will move straight into the first team.
We're still in August, of course. There's a few weeks to go before the end of that dratted transfer window. Deals? No deals? What can you tell us? Do you want to hand it to the manager?
Listen, we're not done. I'm still looking for the right players to strengthen the squad. If you look last night, we've got 6-8 injured at the minute. It's nothing to do with our training regimes, by the way. It's, I think, 3 or 4 of them have been impact injuries. Reece Devine is unfortunate, but he has got a history of hamstring injuries. So, it's a tough gig in a minute for Reece. And Tom Clayton's was a bit of a freak as well, where he actually went across the ball and ended up tearing the other leg. So we've been unlucky. But, like Jamie just said, we're trying to bring the youth through. Could have easily gone with just 5 on the bench, but we decided, it's better for the players' development, the likes of Jackson Brown and Abu to come in and be around it. They both nearly got on last night, if I'm honest, because I was just going to throw everything at it. But thankfully, we got the goal. So then I told them to sit back there.
Yeah, I think we've all watched that goal about 23 times today. It was a cracker, wasn't it? Let's go to this is quite a title, Head of Operations and Stadium Development, Anthony Hall. Anthony, thanks for joining us. Where are we at with it?
Currently with the stadium, we've got Wembley Sports who are carrying out the feasibility study for us, and obviously where we see ourselves with the Don Rogers stand probably is the first redevelopment. When we purchased the ground, we had to, one of the requirements was from the council was that we have to have the development, first development, which is £1 million development done in the first 36 months. So that's what we're focused on at the moment. We're probably 40% of the way through Wembley Sports, and now for sort of assessment of what we can and can't do before we pull shoot back at the end of the year.
So which bit of the county ground are you looking to do first, would you say?
Don Rogers stand.
Don Rogers, and that presumably is putting boxes in, is it?
Hopefully our aspiration is to have 12 corporate boxes, and then further hospitality at the back as well. So, yeah.
It's a long-term project. I mean, in your head, have you got a timeline?
In reality, you're probably talking somewhere between 7 and 10 years.
I'm just trying to gauge how old I'll be in 7 to 10 years' time. Which should be quite old. But anyway, 7 to 10 years. So that's the whole thing. What will it look like in your head in 7 to 10 years' time?
Wembley will be very nice. Don Rogers obviously converted with the new boxes, a new town end, a hotel, Arkle stand completely redeveloped, and the new Stratton Bank as well. So that was a key point for a lot of the supporters.
Lovely, and if I might do a shameless plug, a museum at some point in there as well. The STFC museum.org, if you want to go and have a look at that. Just like to throw that in. Thank you very much indeed for that. Rob, you gave the statement earlier on. In terms of the football club development, where are we, would you say, as a whole? You've got obviously great results on the pitch at the moment for the start. Well, where are we at?
Oh, I think we're still in rebuilding as a football club. The football club's been through difficult sort of times. We're trying to do as best we can to make the football club sustainable for the future. Development is a massively key part of that, because development has got to make sure that it develops revenue for the football club off the pitch and outside of football, so it sustains it, investors back in the club. We've got the stadium now working with the supporters. Club's dealt with a lot of the external debt. Obviously, he's funded that a lot of himself, a lot of the support from you guys. But we continue support to make sure that you've got a sustainable football club going forwards. That's important so that we can give the investment that as much investment as we can to get Michael and the team successful on the pitch. Particularly on EFL rules now, you have to run a sustainable football club, and the amount you can spend on the pitch relates to the amount of revenue you can generate for your football club. So it's really, really important. So we're still rebuilding from the mess that we inherited, but we're looking forwards, and with the ground development plans that Anthony's leading on, the work that we've done on the stadium during the summer to get it up to scratch from a safety perspective, which our maintenance team, done a great job on, and lead over the back. The stadium manager has done a great sort of job on, and Dan Harris, our safety manager as well. We're in a much stronger position, but we're still rebuilding.
Okay, right. That's me doing the first bits. Anybody got any questions that they'd like to put to the panel, please? Nick. Yeah, okay. Can I just... Well, you can speak it. Do you want to do it?
So with the high-intensity football style that we seem to have at the moment, do we think the squad's big enough to maintain this for 90 minutes plus the 15 minutes we seem to get as extra time?
Time will tell. We'll have to be lucky. Self and Wayne have got a very, very good record regarding muscle injuries. They kept to a minimum through the pre-season and conditioning we do with them. but I can't follow the players around, on their day off. Are they going shopping? Are they going playing golf, etc., etc.? Are they eating right foods? They've got to be professional. The clue is in the title, professional footballer. So they've got to take that responsibility on themselves. In terms of probably another side of looking at the question you just asked, no, because I want to add a few more just to make sure that if we do get injuries, we don't always have to rely on 16, 17-year-olds to come in, and sometimes it's not fair on them because that can hamper their development. It's okay bring them in now and then, but if they're not quite ready, and I'm not saying they're not at the minute, by the way, so I'm just saying, they usually have a dip in form. So you put them in for a couple of games, they have a big dip, and depending how big that dip is, that can affect their future development and their confidence. So we've got to be mindful of that as well as a group. And look, if they're good enough and we think they can handle it and they're playing well consistently, they'll be given opportunities here as well. So it's not just about bringing in new faces. We've got to bring people in who are going to strengthen our squad and add something to it and challenge the ones who have got the shirt at the minute.
Okay, any more questions anybody would like to ask, please? It's your opportunity. Here they all are, the people that you want to ask the questions of. Have we got anybody on the Tom Broadbent Lounge, Ellis?
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. It's come in on the Tom Broadbent Lounge. Yes, got a question over there. I might run around. I'm a bit old, so just bear with me.
As regards Charlie Austin, he's already played 3 games in a week. Is he going to be able to do 4 in 10 days?
Well, the interesting thing is this is probably the fittest Charlie's been for 5 years. He said that himself after the game. He's come in today for his recovery session. He said he's not actually feeling that stiff at all. I think you've seen him in the 95th, 96th minute sprinting down into the corner, holding the ball in there. He's probably going to be sore tomorrow because it's usually 48 hours later. But yeah, look, I'm still trying to add a striker to share that load, especially when we have got 2 out. We're probably 1 short. So again, time will tell. We've got to be a little bit careful in terms of the minutes he's playing. But at the minute, he's feeling strong, feeling fit. And all he needs is that first goal because if we're honest, and Charlie will tell you, on a different start of the season, he'd already be on 5 goals. But that's not one thing I'm bothered about because he's not going to lose his ability to be an outstanding striker, which he has been all his career.
I think it's fair to say he had a hand in both goals last night as well, didn't he? So, there we go. Any more, please? Anyone who put your hand up and ask? Yes, hang on. Just rush over here, bear with me.
Thanks, Vic. During the renovation of the DR, where will the current season ticket holders be sat? Or will we end up with scaffolding holding us up like Gillingham have for the last 10 years?
That's a good question, actually, to be fair. So the idea will be, depending on which league we're in, hopefully we'll push ourselves along through the league, but obviously that may push the Stratton Bank further with putting the new stand and roof over that. So it really depends on where we are as a football club in terms of the league, but it will probably be people being moved around the stadium to accommodate that, and hopefully not too much scaffolding blocking your view.
Rob, is there any this online thing that Liverpool gave us 200 seats? Is there any truth in that?
Yeah, there is truth in that. So we've got a senior safety consultant we work with, John Rutherford, experienced guy. He had a contact that knew that there was a load of seats coming out of the COP at Anfield as they upgrade the COP. So we had the opportunity to get 2,000 seats out of Anfield for nothing. So we sent the guys up there, and with the help from local haulage firm, we brought those seats back, and hopefully over time you'll see if your seats do go break, we've got plenty of spares now, and we will be slowly upgrading. Probably the seats where I probably used to sit on them 40 odd years ago in the Arkles, where I think they've all been moved to the away stand now, but if you look at them, they are the seats of about 40 years ago. Those are the ones that go in. So Fred and his team are working to sort of upgrade and improve those. So if there's an opportunity of stuff going that we can recycle, helps our sustainability drive as well, then we'll take it.
We had a choice of seats or Salah and Roy.
Just who do you support, Mr. Flynn?
Liverpool.
Will you have one of those seats as your own? Will you take it home? Fair enough. A very diplomatic answer, if I might say. Any more questions, please? Yes. Hang on, Lee. I'll be with you in a second. Nice suit.
When the upgrades come in the Don Rogers for the sort of boxes and that, will people lose their seats?
Yes, is the short answer to that. Yeah, there will be some people that will lose their seats and be redistributed around the ground, yes.
That's fair comment, that's what we want to know.
Okay, but they will be offered an alternative, clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Fair enough. Okay. Any more? Is this your chance? Yes. Why do we have to... Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves. By the way, on the table, there are free fixture lists that you can keep your note of which games we're playing, both men's and women's team. All free. Take them away. Here we are.
Yeah, with regards to the improvements to be made to John Rogers, maybe the rest of the ground, will there be any allowances for terracing, the new fangled terracing?
Again, it's a good question, actually. One of the points was raised, particularly in the town end, from the SAG on Saturday, is the surge that's currently there. So we are looking at potential sort of safe standing seating in that area. So yes, it won't be ruled out, definitely.
This isn't quite in the league of hotels and Don Rogers redevelopment executive boxes. Could we have some cycling facilities down here? There's nowhere to leave a bicycle. I've seen a chap lock his bike to the fence here in pieces because that was the only way he could safely leave it.
Yeah, we are looking at. We've got some plans that I've been speaking to Michael Doughty about that as part of the sustainability stuff, along with the Supporters Trust. We will be looking to put something in place. It will have to be at the risk of those people leaving it. Because there are cycle rats at the foundation, for example, and bikes do go missing. But we are looking to put something in. But leaving your bike there, especially when you've hopefully got 15,000 people in the stadium, it will be at the risk of people leaving it. But it's something we're looking to put in.
Right. Any more? We got any? Yeah, we got. Hang on, Ellis. I'll be right over. Malcolm, what question? Oh, sorry, I always forget the feedback. Sorry. Here you go.
I think this is one from Joe. From Joe. So I think it's to Jamie. When is the Australian Academy starting, and when do you expect it to start bearing fruit, or to see it coming over here?
Yeah, so we're constantly in conversation with an area now that we've located in Sydney. So it's a team called Nepean that we're looking to link with. So it's still not all been completely finalised. But what we're going to look to do is run CPD programs for their coaches and staff, run a program that will link directly with the club. And then from that, we will look to be bringing two boys across each year. As well as that, we've built up a lot of good relationships from going over to Australia. So we've got a team called Sutherland Sharks, which is from South Sydney. They'll be coming over in September. So some of their elite 13, 14 and 15-year-old boys will be coming across and playing games against our academy. And we're also linking it up and giving them good opportunity to play against other academy teams as well. But we'll be around them and supporting them, so we get to see, can they deal with, first of all, being over here? Can they deal with different pressures of football? And then more to the point, when we're going to look to be getting closer with it, bring them over in our winter, because it's obviously seasonal is completely different. We went over in Australian winter, which is 22, 23 degrees, and they're saying that's cold. But being up at Bevis Brook when it's -6 is completely different. So again, we need to see if they can do all of that realistically before we go ahead. But yeah, plans are really, really moving ahead with that quite quickly, to be honest. And we're also looking at another 3 teams across different cities in Australia. So from what was an idea, from going out, from spending a lot of time and meeting a lot of people, it's really grown legs and moved really, really quickly, which is going to be exciting for us because it's going to be a good way of us being able to bring an income into the club, which is the whole purpose of it.
Does this involve women's football as well?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, for every club in Australia, you pay a registration fee to that club. You then also go to an academy. So an academy could be the Michael Flynn Academy, the Anthony Hall Academy, and so you might train with that club for 3 nights of the week, and then go to the Michael Flynn Academy for 1 night of the week. So obviously that's a private payment. So that's what we would be looking to do. So we would have our Swindon International Academy out there and working with clubs. So if Anthony's at a club, it doesn't stop him coming to our academy. And then obviously from the offspring of that, like the community do, there'd be programs that can run in the half terms and the holidays as well. And everything would be for young girls from 5 right through to 16. And it would also be for boys from 5 right the way through to 16. Obviously, with our girls program at the minute and our women's program, we don't have that program from so young. But that's where we're already going to start having meetings with Rob and Shane and tying in with the community there. And then obviously the next part then is the women's team.
And how does that tie in with you, Mandy? Because obviously, you know, to get young girls interested in football, this is an ideal time, isn't it? How does that tie in with your plans?
I mean, absolutely. Anyone that's interested in women's football right now is important to us. So Jamie and I would be looking, and this is really important to me, that the women's team is completely integrated in the club. We've already been really embraced, which has been fantastic. But one of the things that Jamie's working on is looking at the philosophy that they've got on the football side, and we want to adopt that in the women's side. It's going to take a little bit of a while to do that, because obviously Jamie's only been doing this job for about a month, and we're kind of already started our process. But over the next season, I want to spend a lot of time with Jamie, seeing what we can do, because we want to be a real part of women's football. So going forward, if there is Australian girls out there that are interested in coming over and playing football, it's only going to be a benefit for us. So I see it as a really positive move for the club.
Not sure how the Australians feel about football right at this moment.
Well, exactly.
But hey, any more?
We're feeling okay.
So this next question is it's from Martin, for Michael. What lessons have you learned from Newport and Walsall that you've brought to Swindon, maybe, and make those changes?
Loads. You learn as you go along. You've got to be patient with the players you bring in and the style of play you want to play. So, for example, when I was at Newport to start with, the pitch was very poor. We had a group of players who were 100% at it, fit, trustworthy, but wasn't always the best technically. So we had to play a style of football at first that got the best out of them and give us success. As I had time to bring in the players I want and remould the squad. The last 2 years when I was at Newport, we played very, very good football. I think the upgrade to the pitch helped. I think at first maybe no fans helped, which some players it helps and some players it doesn't, but it seemed to help us. Walsall, then you go in mid-season when you're on the back of a bad run, so you've just got to pick the confidence up and look at the short term, because they were very, very close to going down. We managed to do that. And then the other thing, you've got to be fortunate with injuries. At that point, we had 3 cruciate knee injuries, which is quite freakish. But about myself, I learned lots how you treat the players, react to the players, get your message across. Like I said, it's 350 odd games in there as a manager. One thing I've always done, and I hope I've done it here with yourselves already, is understand the fan base. I've always tried to do that, not just at Newport, but I've done it at Walsall, and I'll do it here as well. you're always learning. You know, I'm learning every day, and I'm excited because I feel like I'm a better manager since my time at Walsall in that 14 months than I was when I left Newport after quite a lot of success, which was nearly 5 years. So yeah, you learn through adversity as well.
Okay, another question from the Tom Broadbent Lounge.
Sorry, Michael, this is also for you. This is from Charlie Woods on our Twitter feed, and he wants to know how good you think our squad is.
Cheers. Ask me at the end of the season. Look, like I said, I still think we need a few more to strengthen the squad. I'm not going to lie about that. If I said the squad's amazing now, I ain't going to get no more money to go and bring any in. So, yeah. Look, you've got to be realistic. There was a lot of players left under contract. Some have gone, you know, albeit temporary because they're loan deals. But yeah, it's. I think we've got a good core group. But unfortunately, I think every club, or, you know, a good 60% of the clubs in the league seem to have won the lottery. Because the wages that is getting banded around at the minute is, for me, you know, I think what Rob and Anthony said earlier on, like being a sustainable football club, I can't see how they can be sustainable, you know, if they don't have success in the next 2-3 years, because it is honestly crazy this year, and it's the most. I wish I was playing in League Two anyway. I'll just say that.
Okay, let's. Any more? Sorry. One more. Okay, yeah, no worries. Oh, go on. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. My question's around the training ground situation. Obviously, we're using Beversbrook in Carn. Is there any sort of future plans to have a training ground of our own or use Foundation Park potentially?
Well, obviously we're at Beversbrook at the moment. We've got a deal there for a period, but we're always looking at different options. Training grounds aren't cheap though and cost a lot of money, and obviously the focus at the moment is developing the ground. But it's something that we know we're missing and that we've got to look at. Foundation Park is a fantastic facility for the community, and we do use it a bit, but given that it's had funding from the Football Association, you know, and the council, etc., has got to have, I think, at least 75% of public use, and we don't count within that. So that means you're limited to how much we can use Foundation Park. So it's something we're always looking at. We're at Beversbrook for now, but it's something that's on the agenda. But we've got the development as well, and the training grounds aren't cheap.
Okay, any more? The Tom Broadbent Lounge are taking in questions as well online, but if you've got any more questions, I'll wander around the room, look at you suspiciously. Yes, I'll make my way over there. Try to avoid the speakers. Yes, sir.
Hi, is the Karachi link still going ahead? Is it still progressing? Was it going to be an academy at one stage, or is it at the moment? Thank you.
I think obviously with all the everything around the Australian programme that we're doing at the minute, that will be an international academy. I think what was happening in Karachi was something that was kind of different and not really associated with the club. I'm not sure if there's any plans going forward or anything like that. From our point of view, the main push at the moment is everything we're doing with Australia.
You've washed your hands of it then, have you, basically?
No, we've not washed. We, from a cultural point of view, and I think I've mentioned this on the Thomas Broadbent podcast previously. Anything that we can do that will add value to our staff or to players, then we'll quite gladly do. So we did have a member of staff come over from Karachi and work with us for 2 weeks, and he was fantastic. And he actually added some value to the young boys and to the staff as well. So anything from a cultural point of view, we're more than happy to work with and push things through.
Just to mention that we are raising money for the Derby Rimmer Foundation tonight, and in this corner, opposite the bar, there's a book sale. When I say a sale, you can just donate money and take whatever books you want. And all the money tonight goes to the Derby Rimmer Foundation, which is an excellent cause. Of course, Stephen Darby, former Swindon Town loanee, got a penalty which took us to Wembley. Is now living with MND, so we'd like to help them as much as possible this year. So any money tonight goes to them. Right, any more questions? Yes.
It's probably as much for Rob as anyone else, but with all these clubs, as Mike said, spending all this money on players, there's EFA rules, like you said, around sustainability. How are they going to get round it, or is it just going to be an easy league in 3 years when they've spent all the money?
Well, it's a really good question. I think that the EFL rules, there are ways that some clubs get around them. I think they are tightening those rules, and you've got to remember as well that the government has committed to an independent regulator to come into football. So I think those rules will get tighter and harder because, quite rightly, we want to stop issues happening like the likes of Bury and other clubs, going out of business because they've done some spending which is unsustainable. The people go away and the club goes pop, and that's a massive impact on our community and stuff like that. Of which we were worried about that. Just over a couple of years ago now. So look, as Mike says, there's a lot of money flushing around. It's not sustainable. We've got to focus on what we do, be sustainable, build up our football club. We've got to remember it is a business. We're trying to drive it. The example, of the lottery we just announced. A lot of football clubs have lotteries. That's money that we can generate with your support and the community support that goes back into the football club. Goes back in support Mike's budget, but on a sustainable basis. So I do think there will be issues over time, and I think the regulations will get more stricter over time, especially when the independent regulator lands.
Thank you, Vic. Rob, question about crowds. So one of the ways I suppose we can make the club more financially sustainable is increasing the size of the crowds. Swindon is becoming increasingly diverse. Central Swindon is very diverse, but that's not reflected in the crowds that we get. So I suppose my question to you is, what efforts do you think the club could do to have a more diverse crowd? So actually to take advantage of all those who live in Central Swindon in places like Broad Street and so forth, who we see if we come to the ground, but they never actually come to the match.
It's a really good question, Roger, and I think overall, with the population of the borough now, probably around about 250,000, and look, we get good crowds, average of around about 9,000 last year, but I think there's more we can get given the size of the population. You're absolutely spot on. The diversity of our supporter base needs to sort of be more diverse. Let's be clear. We work with the Wiltshire FA and the foundation do as well in terms of a diversity panel, which Basil Solomon, former borough councillor, is he former or current? I can't remember now. Former, thank you, Roger, of the recent elections, does a great job chairing that. We are talking about how we can encourage more diversity, working with the foundation as well. Obviously, we do the initiative with local schools each game, working with the foundation, where we give 250 free tickets away. And then try and give community tickets thereafter, schemes like that we're looking at. But we're also open to different ideas and working with those communities as to how we can get, a more diverse. And really, we just want more supporters, more fans supporting Swindon Town Football Club, because as you said, Roger, it's a massive boost. If we've got a full stadium, drives extra revenue. It's much better for the players and Mike and the team if we've got, a full stadium supporting the team. So something we're actively looking at, but again, we're really open to ideas on that.
Will you be getting players out into local community and into schools?
100%. Yeah. Bit out with the schools at the minute because they're on summer holidays. But yeah, something that I've spoken to. I'll be speaking to Bailey. There'll be a rota with the players. I've only got one real rule on it. We don't do it the day before a game because they need to be concentrating on that. And they should be doing it. So yeah, it'll be happening, and very, very soon, because like I said, that rota will be set up, and it won't be the same old three players just because they live in Swindon all the time. I don't care where they live. They will be given notice and they will be doing it. And it's not tough talk. It's what we owe the supporters and the community to put back into it. Because whether we're in League Two or the Premier League, we're very, very privileged to be where we are.
Just on that, last year Sean Wood took the under-18s into a school, and they took over like the PE lessons. So they worked with the teachers around the PE, they worked with the young students, and then stayed around during playtimes, lunchtime, and devised games and different things like that. So we are very, very big around developing the person, and that starts within the academy, getting ready to make this move into the first team when they're asked to do different things around the community. So yeah, if we get boys through that system, then it won't be something new.
Sorry, going back and forth here. And the other, obviously with Henry coming in now, working with Callum, we need to get the message out there as well. Every time it's done, the Twitter feeds, the in the programs, the club website. So we need to get that out there so you lot can see that we are doing it, because believe it or not, a lot of players do it and it doesn't get sent out there. And in all honesty, Newport were very good at that. They used it well because they were supporters' own club, and they understood the value of what it meant to go out in the community, to go to schools. And look, we'll be working with the head of the community and commercial. James can help with that, and yeah, it will be very, very something you'll be proud of as supporters, I hope.
Can I just say to Callum and to Henry over by the bar there, thank you very much indeed for all the help that they give us, and give them a round of applause because they do a fantastic job.
Michael, 2 more questions from our live Twitter feed, both regarding the transfer window.
No.
They're not my questions, I'd just like to put that out. The players that are still available on the market, are they of the standard that you are wanting?
Some of them are, yeah. But like I said, at the minute, there's players who are holding out for injuries to clubs in higher divisions, or injuries to players at clubs that can write an open checkbook. The risk with that is they're going to be a bit behind because they're not actually training with anyone. And let's not forget, the Premier League tend to loan out their 21s towards the end of the window as well, because they haven't got their full quota and they want to have a proper look at them. They're no different to us, in terms of they still got to produce, English-based players to come through, because they've got is there 3 in this matchday squad that have come through the academy, and that's why you see a lot of the transfer fees for English players in this country are quite inflated, because they're all chasing. Not that they're not good players as well, but they are inflated as well. So yeah, there are players out there. It's just about picking the right ones, and the ones with the right attitude who want to come here for the right reasons.
Thank you. And also, do we expect any more outgoings before the window closes?
I hope not. There might be 1 or 2 who are not getting as much game time as they would like, and might want to go out on loan, but that won't happen unless we have got somebody in first to make sure we cover ourselves. And in terms of the ones who are in my plans, then no, I hope not. I hope we stand firm and don't let any of them players leave. But like I said, we're going to run things sustainable, and if an offer does come in that the club feel that they have to accept, then that's above my pay grade.
There was a rumour about Russian Hepburn Murphy, who I think was described as twaddle, which is a fabulous word, should be used more. Is that how you would describe it, twaddle?
I don't know the rumour.
He's going to Peterborough for $250,000.
Still don't know the... I think it's twaddle you just said. Yeah, it's news to me. It's probably because he had a good game against them. So yeah, listen, and with social media these days, you can sneeze outside and you've had COVID for a year. It's I don't take no notice of the rubbish that gets branded about. So until Clem, Jamie, or Rob, even Anthony, now that he's here, tell me that, right, we've accepted a bid, then it means absolutely nothing to me. I was going to say something else then. But yeah.
Fair enough. Twaddle's such a great word. Any more?
I've got one more for Michael around transfers. Is there any chance, or what can you tell us about Dan Kemp? Would we be able to get him on a permanent? Would you like him on a permanent? What can you tell us about that?
I would like him on a permanent, but yeah, that's something that we'll look at when we can. Obviously MK Don's hold all the cards on that, but yeah, he's settled in really well, and he's a player I like. So yeah, Dan Kemp, could he become a permanent? Then that I would like to think so, but it might be after be at the end of the season.
Okay, any more? Let's put your hands up. Yeah, let's hang on. No feedback. I thought that was good. Hang on. Don't forget the fixture list. There's plenty of them, and the charts as well if you want to take them home.
This one's for Michael. So, with all this experience of this league, so far we've played footballing teams, which last season we did okay against. How does he think we'll do against some more physical teams in this league?
Find out when we play them, won't we? What I will say is, Wayne and the coaching staff will learn from the way myself and Wayne will set plays. Suppose you want a little bit more height at the back. I've heard that, but again, there's no good in having a philosophy of the way you want to play if you've got a 6'5", 6'6" player at the back who can only defend and he can't build attacks. So look, we've got to be cute with that in the way that we want to play and not let one player or one position jeopardise. I think we handled Ryan Innes quite well last night. There's only one real corner that I was really concerned about, the one where Murph made 2 saves from. But other than that, I thought we dealt with it very, very well. But yeah, we'll find out. There's teams that are going to be direct, and set plays are part of the game. If they work on them and they've got a key asset, why wouldn't you use it? We use Mickey Dimitriou's throw. It's better in the corner because you've got more accuracy with the throw. It's like an arrow. And if that gets you a win, I've seen World Cup finals won with set plays. But we just got to make sure we're switched on, stay with our men, keep to our jobs, and hopefully cut out the amount of goals we concede from set plays.
I think it's probably another one for Michael. It's around players' contracts. So when we sign permanent contracts for players, they don't appear to be publicised this season. Just wondering whether there's any reason for that, but how long the contracts are for example.
It's news to me. Probably somebody else best has to answer this one because, yeah, as soon as I sign them, I don't care what gets said and take that the right way. They're over the line. I know how long we got them for, and that's it.
I don't think it's an issue in terms of the length of the contract, and we can reference that. What we tend not to reference is obviously any of the commercial information, which is obviously confidential because you don't want to give away what you're paying or what you're paying to, etc., to other clubs. So for that, but there's no issue with length of contracts.
Two questions. One, the players you're hoping to bring in, are they likely to be loan players or are they likely to be permanent signings?
I don't know. We've got space for one more loan at the minute. I won't take any more than that because you can only have 5 involved in the matchday squad. You can have more loans. Now, unless something happens to one of the loans we have, and touch wood it doesn't, then it'll only be one more loan. Other than that, it'll depend who's available on free transfers. Like I said, I won't be signing them just because they're a free transfer. They'll have to add something to the squad and the way we play, and obviously fit it within budget as well.
And the other question is, will we be reopening the welcome space? Because around where I work, there's a few people I know of personally that could actually do with using somewhere like that?
It's something we'll look at again as the weather turns. We did find that there wasn't a huge take up, but you need to look and assess it and see what other centres and availabilities there are. But it's definitely something that we'll look at again.
Right, we've got around about 15 minutes left. So, any more questions, please? Yes. Hang on, I'll get to you in a minute, Martin. Don't do that. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you. Question for Rob. How are we planning to facilitate and get the money for the redevelopment of the stadium? How are we planning to do that? And then will that have an impact in terms of playing budget? And what impact will that then have?
Well, I mean, and I'll see if Anthony wants anything add to it as well. But the trust have got, I think, plans on a community fund. So you guys play your part in helping with that, which I think will be really important. We've got conversations with some people. You might have seen some football clubs do bond issuances. I think QPR have done one for a training ground. Bolton's done one recently. Peterborough have done one as well, I think. So we're talking to the people there and seeing if that's an option. Obviously, Clem as well. Football clubs aren't great from a credit perspective. Banks don't like football clubs. So Clem's going to be, instrumental in financing the development. But we're looking at different options. That we don't want it to impact on the pitch. But every option we'll look at in terms of making sure we've got development. Obviously getting it as the most efficient way possible, because ultimately you've got to pay that money back. And it also comes back to the fact that development that you choose has got to drive commercial return, because otherwise, you end up mortgaging yourself for something that you can't afford to pay. Anything you want to add?
Okay, Martin. Imagine Cruising just sponsored the women's football team. Thank you very much indeed for that. Mandy's very happy. You got a question?
Yeah, a question for Mike, please. Could you summarise your first 3 or 4 months at the club? Is there anything that's disappointed you, or is there anything that's sort of exceeded your expectations?
Disappointed we didn't win against Peterborough and Crewe. I've thoroughly enjoyed it from the first game, the last game of last season when I was unveiled in front of you lot. The work hasn't stopped. I think people were saying I had a few holidays. I did have a few holidays, but I didn't not work for one day of that holiday. I had a lot of making up to my wife over that and kids. So it was non-stop, trying to speak to all the players individually, identify targets that we wanted to bring in, I've really enjoyed it so far. And Wayne is definitely the same. I know he's not here tonight, but I can speak on his behalf because he's from Swindon. And when I phoned him and said, look, pack your bags, we're going again. I think because he's a grumpy kid, I'm going to be honest with you, he was probably looking forward to spending time with his newborn and enjoying some holiday time, but he didn't even moan at this. He jumped straight out there and said, when do we start? So, we're both excited. We hopefully have a good season, but definitely with everything that's been said here tonight, the club are rebuilding and I think it's in good hands and it's going to have a bright future.
I can't believe anyone from Swindon's grumpy. That's never a thing, is it? Right, any more questions? Yes. Here we go. Hang on. Let's just make sure there's no speakers. Hang on.
With the hospitality boxes, what was the thought process with starting that first? Because just thinking the town end redevelopment with a hotel would probably be a more stronger commercial aspect to get money back into the club than changing the stand, which I think is perfectly good. But you may have a different answer for me. So just interested on that one. So I think there's other parts of the ground that need redeveloping before the Don Rogers stand, and with a better commercial return possibly.
The thoughts behind it are when the stand was built in 1994, the infrastructure was put in place there for hospitality. That's the thoughts behind it. That's the vision that Clem's looking at, and that's what we're going to take forward. And we see that as a more instant return on revenue as opposed to doing the hotel. Hotels are typically expensive to build, and obviously flattening the town end as well. Doing the Don Rogers first will be the least disruption to the ground at the moment.
Is I think probably a question for Rob. Are you able to tell us how long is the deal on the Puma kit sponsor?
So yeah, we inherited the Puma kit deal. It runs until 2026, I think it runs. So got another season. We are now looking at options going forwards. For beyond that sort of period of time, because you've got to give it a bit of time if you're going to move kit supplier. So it's coming to its end now. It was a long contract that we inherited. We hope you like the kits this year. And thank you for the support that you brought them. There's more stock sort of coming, so please keep supporting on that. But yes, it's coming towards its end. It's got this season and another one left, but we're already looking at options now beyond.
A question for Mandy. There's been quite a few new players coming in for the women's team. Are you able to kind of give us any background on those players or any ones that we should be looking out for when they're playing here or Foundation Park?
Yeah, we had Annie Colston that was already with Swindon, that was the top scorer, second top scorer in our division. And we also acquired Ellie Stripple from Portishead, is actually the top scorer in our division. So we've got both of those. One of our key players, obviously, I don't know if you know her, but is Georgia Clifford. She has become our player coach. Previously, she was at Reading Academy. She's played at Oxford United. And until a couple of years ago, played at a very high level with Watford, but unfortunately she had an ACL injury, which she's finally recovering from, so she's beginning to play. She's going to play a really important role because of her previous experience, and she's already showing that she's made a massive improvement with the girls that are here. All sorts of other ones. I mean, if you come out and watch, you'll see there's been a massive improvement on the football over the close season during the training. One standout for me who I really enjoy watching playing is someone called Billy Haynes, that's come from Cheltenham Town, from the tier above. The reason that she's moved from the tier above is because she actually wants to win something. So, and she's a really good player. Just lots of them. We've got quite a few young stars that have joined us as well. Taylor McDonald that was at Portsmouth. So there's just a lot of excitement around the team at the moment. I think playing at the county ground, the stuff that's been going on, as you mentioned earlier, with media, the investment in the women's, and the great sponsors like Imagine Cruising, our business group, all the other sponsors that want to get on board, is just making a real excitement around the whole thing. So I think we're nearly probably done with the signings for the moment. I think there's a couple of more. And then Mike will have his squad of about 20 for the season, which is what he's aiming for. Just like Michael here, obviously, we've only got 17 at the moment, but he wants to go for quality signings. And there is money in women's football, particularly in our tier where everybody's going for promotion. So we have got girls that are sort of hanging on to wait and see if they've got offers from other clubs before they come. But I'm pretty confident that when they see the setup here, that they'll be wanting to join us. So it's all looking really, really positive.
Okay, Mandy, thank you very much. So we're going to whiz through a few because we've got a little while to go, just a little while to go now. So this is for Anthony or Rob. There are no handrails going down the steps in the Arkle stand. Dangerous for older supporters and a health and safety issue when the steps are wet. Now, obviously, you've got them in the Don Rogers, haven't you? Is this a thing that you're asked a lot? Are you going to put them in the Arkles?
We asked a bit. Obviously, they were putting when the stand was built, and the Don Rogers is a very steep stand, which is part of the reason it's there. It is quite a bit of work to put them into the Arkles and a big amount of cost. and already probably whether the concrete can take it as well as another factor. So it's probably one that we'll look at when we come to redevelop the Arkle stand in reality.
Okay. What's happening with Lewis Ward? Does anybody want to that?
Nothing at the minute. He's still with us. He's training very well. But I've got more areas to sign, and Lewis knows that, and he's going to have to be patient.
Sorry, we missed that little bit. It cut out just at the crucial bit where you said...
We've got more priority areas to sign in first, and Lewis knows that and needs to be patient, and it's not much more to say on it, really.
Okay, fair enough. And have you made many changes behind the scenes with the players, i.e. to boost morale, training hours, food, etc., diet? I mean, obviously we hear about diet a lot in football. What is your particular take on it?
It's very important. You know, like I touched on at the beginning, I wish we had all this technology and information when I was starting my career. It was just starting to come in properly over in England. I know the foreign clubs have started it before, but it's huge. It helps recovery, it helps improve your overall fitness, and you know, I think you see now the games long gone are the days where they go away after the last game of the season, put on a stone, and takes them 3 weeks to get it off, and then the last 3 weeks of pre-season, everything's hunky-dory. The game has moved on. The boys come back in very, very good shape. 90% of them come back in very, very good shape, and they look after themselves. Like I said, what they eat away from here, I don't know. They'll all tell me it's a chicken salad or something, but I'm not sure I believe every single one of them. So you've just got to trust them in terms of morale. There's the togetherness. There's no individual bigger than the team. That's one of my mottos. I don't care who they are. They know they all have to respect each other. The football club, the staff, and the supporters, and that's one thing why I'm keen to make sure that they get out in the community, because that does give them that understanding of the togetherness and what it means, not just at Beaversbrook or here on a match day, but day in, day out, to be a Swindon Town fan.
Great answer. Right, and one more question, and then we'll round it up. Anybody want one more question? Hang on a minute, I'll get to you in just a second.
It's a question for Michael. Do you regard us as dark horses in this division? Because with so many clubs spending huge sums of money.
I'm not saying anything because you'll hold me to it. Like I said, I'm experienced now at this. We're gonna give it our all. We're gonna play an attractive brand of football. Like I said yesterday in my press comments, over the 2 games in the league, we've had over 1,000 passes made. We've had over 60 crosses into the box. We've created numerous chances. Yes, we haven't scored them all or converted them all, but I think it's showing signs that we do want to be on the front foot and play through the thirds and not just lump it forward. But yeah, you know, we need to be lucky with key players that they don't get injured. You know, there's people like Sado who could be a big miss in January if he gets called up, if they qualify for the African Cup of Nations. So that's gonna, you know, he's not going to like me for saying this, but I almost hope on a selfish level that they miss out. But there'll be nobody any prouder than myself for Sado if that did happen. So there's loads of, you know, different factors that, you know, can help us have a really successful season or not have a successful season. And a lot of it is down to where we stick together, how we stick to our principles. But again, the other thing is, what I'm, as much as everybody are spending money, and they're all getting bigger squads, and that doesn't guarantee success. Like I said, I don't know if I said it to you last, sorry, so I apologise. When we got to the playoff finals with Newport, we had the second lowest budget in the league the first time. The second time, I think we had about the 18th lowest budget in the league. So it can happen. When Morecambe went up and they actually beat us, they had the lowest. So it does happen, not all the time, but it does happen. So yeah, I'm not concerned what other teams spend. That's good luck to them. I know what we can spend and what we can't, and it'll give us. What we will have is a team spirit and a work ethic that you lot will be proud of.
So I guess on Saturday, then you'll be happy that the spotlight in most of North America will be watching our opponents and not us.
I'm not happy about that because I'd love to have that audience for this football club. In terms of what Wrexham have done, we were on about it earlier. I think it's brilliant. It's the best I've seen. Their commercial model is unbelievable. Even if they were in the Premier League, it'll be even the commercial revenue would be huge. It would rival, big clubs. I think they made 22 million last year commercial wise. That says that they could probably have an 11 million pound budget this year. That goes to show that it's a lot of money. I'm not going to say that they're spending all that because I don't know, but they've got a good manager there in Phil Parkinson, who was actually my manager at Bradford, and Steve Pagan is number 2. They've got players that I've managed and played with there. Like I said, it's good luck to them in terms of the way they've done it because it is the best I've seen.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to draw to a close now. Just also like to draw your attention to the members of the Swindon Town backroom staff who are here tonight, who do fabulous work behind the scenes. Could you all give them a round of applause too? Including Chris, who's just making his way in from outside of the Legends Lounge. They do fantastic work. I'd love you to put your hands together for our panel tonight, specifically for Mike, who's now going to go home, I think. Is that right? For the first time in about 6 weeks. Mike Flynn, everybody. Head of women's football, Mandy Coe, on a big day of women's football. Head of football, the world and everything, Mr. Jamie Russell. Head of operations and stadium development, I think that's right, Anthony Hall. And Chief Executive, Rob Angus. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much indeed for coming. Thanks to the Tom Broadbent Lounge as well for streaming this live tonight. Get yourselves a drink, have a nice time. Plenty of things to buy at our stall, all in aid of the Derby MND Foundation. Thank you very much.